Hello, everybody. How are you today? I am having a very bad day today because my broken toe is still annoying me. And when I have a bad day, I try and distract myself and I try and do a nice thing, at least for one other person. And so today I'm hoping to do a nice thing for quite a few people, including you. So, what I wanted to do today is walk you through how I set up pretty simple standard user research repository in Notion for my clients. So I do a lot of advisory and consultancy work, which means that I have set up quite a few user research repositories in the past. One of the most popular softwares that companies tend to use is Notion. And I'm usually asked to create some sort of repository or, findings database, whatever we want to call it at this point, in Notion. And I do feel like that's a very popular way to go. So I just wanted to showcase how I do this and give you kind of the tools if this is something that you're new to, if this is something that you want to try. Because the way that I tend to set it up is with 3 different databases within the same page. And it's been very successful because it just allows teams some more flexibility for what they're trying to find and accomplish. Now, whenever I set up repositories, I always set it up with a caveat and a responsibility to get feedback from my stakeholders. So I set this up as, let's say, iteration 1, kind of an MVP style. And then what I do is I get feedback from all of my different stakeholders and ask them to test it out, ask them to tell me what's working, what's not working, and then we continue to iterate on it over time. That is arguably the most important thing with repositories. If you're not asking people for feedback and not getting feedback from them, then what are you doing? You won't know if it's working or not. You won't know how to improve it, and people might not use it. So that's usually what ends up happening is people just don't use the repository. So let's get started and let's dive in with this caveat that after you complete something like this, don't fill it out completely. Just fill out a few different parts of it and then start to test it with your stakeholders and iterate from there. But the first thing that you're going to do is create a new page in Notion. I have a bunch of different pages here. You could nest it under a user research overall page in Notion, or create a new page. And we're going to call this the user research repository. Just like that. And then what I usually say is this is where you can find all things user research findings / insights. You can browse, and this will make sense in just a few seconds. These insights in 3 different ways through the various databases. One is all insights database. The next one is Teams database, and then the next one is Problem Spaces database. And then we will add more information to this. If you have any questions, please reach out to, and then put your email, name, whatever it might be. And then please let us know any feedback today's going to be a struggle. You have on this database, on this repository through this form, let's say, and then link to a Google form, or you can say email me, or however you decide to do feedback. I usually do it as a Google form, and I just ask standard questions like how easy or difficult was it to find your insights? What could we improve about this? Things like that. So I usually just do a form. So let's move on to the next part of this, which is going to be what I usually like to do. is if you have a user research backlog or and roadmap, user research backlog and roadmap, stay up to date on everything we are doing within the user research team and all of our current upcoming projects. Honestly, what tends to happen here is, nope, I don't want to comment. What tends to happen here is I usually have to link to this because normally we're not using Notion for a backlog and roadmap. But if you were using Notion as a backlog and roadmap, you could link it in here. And I always recommend like putting this up front because it just helps people know what's going on currently without you having to constantly come in here and update what you're doing at every given moment, because that's really hard to do. So I will usually link to it with whatever software we're using, whether that's like something like Linear, whether it's something like Trello, whether it's something like Jira, whether it's Airtable, right? Like whatever it might be, you can link or embed this usually in Notion. So then let's get to the actual database. So what you're going to do is you're going to create a table. So very easy table, and you are going to turn it into a database. And this will be our all insights. And then we'll just fill out this one first, and then we'll go back and edit it where we need to. So this is our all insights, which is pretty self-explanatory. So as I mentioned here, there are 3 ways that I like to set up databases for teams. All insights, the teams database, and the problem spaces database. The reason that I like to do this is we usually default as researchers to this one, like just having a database for all of our insights. That makes it quite difficult usually for teams to find what they actually care about and need, which is why I do these 2 other databases, and we'll get into exactly how to put those together in just a second. But the first one that we do want to do is all insights, because to be honest, it's something that is helpful to have. So if you're new to Notion, what I just did, as I said, is I created this table, I turned it into a database, and now there are all these things called properties, which you can change. So what I like to do is these following properties. So we have here the insight title, which is just a text. This kind of property means kind of like title or text, which is great. And then what we do now, if you want to change the type, so you can see in here, this one is text. I think this one is like literally just text. I don't think you like have we seem to not have a choice on this. Sometimes Notion just completely confuses me. And then we have all these different types, which we're going to use. So this one, I like to put an insight summary. So we'll get into each of these in a second. And then the next one that I like to do is we could just do this, priority. Where's my priority? I know you're here. Oh gosh, this is why I don't like not having sleep. Oh, okay. We don't want to do priority today. Why aren't we doing this? Okay, priority. And we're gonna make this select the priority. And then we have the team and we're going to do this in a second. I'm going to put it as text, but we're going to change that to relation. And when we do our other one, problem/KPI. So this is like the metric or the metrics or problems that this insight is addressing. So things like retention, churn, or if you have more specific KPIs for your team. This is a really great way to like secretly also track the impact of research. Then we have evidence. And this is just going to be text. So this could be like, you can even say like evidence/quotes. No, we don't want to do that. /quotes. I can never spell quotes right the first time. Evidence/quotes. So this is, you could also paste like links to the research here. The next thing that you want to do is recommendation. So what the team is going to do next. And then we have last updated, and then we have the owner, which is a person. Gosh, it's just not working for me today. Owner, let's change this to last updated. And then finally, we have status, which is right here. So this is the first database, which has all of this information in it. I don't know where my prio isn't coming up. Like, this is a thing, but it doesn't want to be a thing unless I'm just like missing this. Okay, so it seems to not want to autofill. I had a prio for the other ones that I usually do, but let's go in and do status first. So we have not started. I like to change these and put them as something like blocked. These are all like to-dos or scoping, which could go in progress on roadmap/backlog. Okay. I like to play around with colors. So we have scoping here. What do we want to do scoping as? And then I usually put like in design, then in development, and then I say live usually. Okay, so we have that there. Let's just change these to a prettier color. And then we can do a prio as well. We have urgent, we have high, medium, and low, which those colors don't make sense. This should be orange, this can be blue, and this can be capitalized. Cool. So we have our first database here. Pretty straightforward, self-explanatory. So let's go on and do our next database. So this one is going to be the product-based one, and this is where we're going to start to change some of these things in here. So again, we go to table, turn into database, new table, teams database, view insights by team. Great. So now we have, and you can do this, it depends on like how your teams are set up. You could do it by product area or you could do it by team. It's just, it's completely up to you. Description. So the next thing was we do a team description. I know that might sound dumb or it might sound like it makes no sense, which like I understand completely, but it helps people who are onboarding quite a lot. And then we're going to do linked insights. So this is where it gets interesting. So now we have a relation. So I just clicked in relation to all insights, add relation. So now what's happened is we've started to link insights from this to a certain product area or team. And we're just going to go back to that other one to do it really quickly. But first, I'm just going to put in design links, like anything that's like related to the design. And then related KPIs/metrics. I'm going to make this a multi-select, but I'm not going to fill it out. It's kind of like whatever metrics make sense for you. So now that we've done this, remember how I said this team one was going to turn into a relation? So we're going to change the type here to relation, and we're going to relate it to the teams, right? So now what happens is this is related to this is related to this, right? So when we tag a team relation, which I'll show in just a second, this then starts to link these insights to a team, which then show up in here. So what we are doing and how we make this possible, let's say that we have an onboarding team. So you want to create a new page for all of your teams, or every product area, however it is that your teams are set up. I like to think about it as like, what are the teams looking at? You know, like, so if we have an onboarding team, who, like, is that how they're going to like look things up? So when I've worked in the past with companies, we've had things like a retention team versus an acquisition team, or a growth team, or it's been by product area, like onboarding, like, you know, certain kinds of usage of, like, an analytics team. There we go. You know, so I've had those types of teams. So I recommend however your org is set up and however people will be like thinking, this is my team, this is the information that I want about my team. So let's go with onboarding, and let's go with like analytics, just for an example. So what you want is to have each team have their own thing, and you can give like a little description of the team, like for the onboarding is like, make onboarding less painful. Yay. So we have here, and I always actually like to include on these the roadmap and backlog link. I will hide these, always hide, because we don't want them actually coming up here. So hide through properties. So now all the insights for the onboarding team, yay. And you can like obviously get much cuter with it and do something nice. So what you want to do now is do /linked, and then we have a linked view of a database. And so what we have here is the databases. So this is the All Insights database, and this is the Teams database. So we're going to go to the All Insights database, which showcases again all of the insights that we have. And what we're going to do here is we're going to filter by team. And so what will happen is if you have a shared, I don't have a shared Notion space, so it's not doing it, but I think it's like a yellow or orange like kind of button will appear here, and it will say save view for everybody. And you want to click that. So what happens now is when the onboarding team comes in here, they will open this and they will already pre-filter all of the onboarding only insights. So they can go straight to what the insights are for their particular team. And for instance, you can hide this within this view because it's not very like relevant, right? So they will get their insights only, right? So let's do this again for analytics. So this is the analytics team. Make analytics fun. All the insights for the analytics team, right? And then we have linked view of the database. Again, all insights. And then we're going to go into filter, and we're going to go by team, analytics, and then again, there's going to be like a yellow or orange thing that's going to pop up, and that's what you want to hit. So that it's only for that team. Great. And then again, oh gosh, we can hide this here because it's like irrelevant. So that's how you set up that team database, so that people who are interested in just seeing the stuff for their team can just come right in and see that information. So the next thing that I like to do is one more table. So again, we're going to go in here to do turn into database, and I like to call this one, this is the problem spaces database. And so this is view insights by problem space. So this just gives us a completely different view that people tend to actually like to look at. It's like based on the problems that people are encountering, what are the insights? So this is like if I were to, as a stakeholder, come in and be like, oh, I want to see everything that's wrong with, a certain flow or everything that's wrong with like why people are churning, for instance. So this is great for that. So it enables people to go ahead and just look at information through that lens. So we have the problem space, we have the description, great, nope, which is a text. And then we have, is this coming up right? Yeah. Linked insights. And then again, we're going to do the relation here. And we are going to go and link insights to here so that we can very easily put problem space and linked insights together. And then we have the owner and the status. Oh, I actually don't put status for this because there's like really not a point because it's just going to be linked to that. Yeah. I like owner, and then, oh, that's what I like. Related features. So any sort of like related features to this particular problem space. So now we have our 3 different areas that people can kind of use to go and figure out, okay, like what's happening for research. Another thing that you can do if you're into it is create a reusable template. So I call that insights template, and then insight name or headline. And then, these always do this. I like to put them like in this kind of way. This is less relevant for me because I'm like, oh, that team is like that team. This is like 2 to 3 sentences on the insight. And then you can get like more specific, like you can do the please include the what. So what happened, the why it happened, and then the consequence / risk. So what will happen if we ignore this? Right, so that just gives people a little bit of information for them to be able to like fill this out better. These, well, this is hard. I put like, here, please link to any evidence such as video clips, report, data analytics, or session notes. Owner, person who duplicated this page, last updated, date when duplicated, and then team is empty. These are empty. You can put here, please recommend the next steps for the team to act on this insight. There we go. So now we have this template, which is really great. So if you go in here, you can then make it the set as default. Right. So now when people go and create something, they will automatically have this, which makes it a little bit easier for them to fill out, which is fantastic. So another thing here that I actually just wanted to say is you can put in here, which is really great, like customer support, right? So you have helping our users, our customers get better support, right? So you can then make this and you would do the same thing here. So it would go linked, view of databases, all insights, and then filter out team, customer support, and then you save that, right? So then this becomes not only just about product, but it's also someplace that you can showcase your insights for other teams, which I think is pretty darn cool. So Yeah, that is, I mean, I can go in and try and like kind of create one of these to see how it is. So let's, insight template, insight names slash headline. I'm trying to think of what I could do for an insight really quickly. A travel insight, let's say, because that's like the easiest thing to do. No, let's do a B2C one. Users cannot find the coupon code. Right, so 2 to 3 sentences on the insight. So the what happened. Users could, say, 6 out of 7 users could not find the coupon code area to put in the code. Why it happened. Let's do this a little bit nicer. This is very factual, so this isn't my most beautiful insight writing. The why it happened. The coupon code field was hidden from the user in the checkout phase. They had to click an additional button to reveal it, and people didn't find it. Mismatch of mental model. Consequence risk, with this being difficult to find, we risk drop off and loss of conversion, especially during a sale where we provide a checkout code to motivate more orders, conversions. So it's not the most beautiful one, but there we go. Priority, let's say that this is pretty high. Problem, KPI, let's say conversion rate. And then team. This would be a different team, but let's just pretend that it's onboarding. There we go. So I'm actually going to also put roadmap and backlog on here. Just because it makes it easier to like find if we're like working on this. So this would be, let's say we're in design. Okay, cool. So we have this awesome thing that we have here. So we have an actual, oh, I did not do that. Where's my recommendation? Just like ignore that. Link to video clips, let's say, and then recommend the next steps. Bad researcher right now. Review the design and update the design to make the coupon code more findable. There we go. And you could like put like a deadline in here, so you could put like another date for a deadline if you wanted to. It's up to you. So this is where like that feedback becomes important. But there we go. We have our first insight in here. And then so if you go to onboarding, this automatically filled in. And it's only, so as you can see here, this one, that one's not showing up because this is only for onboarding. What we could do as well is we could put in a problem space. So let's say the problem space is checkout drop off. Here, we could link this insight, for instance. So that is super helpful. So as you can see here, then we have these different linked insights for checkout drop off. If you wanted to, we could also do that. And you could then put in this the problem space then we have here relation. We'd relate it back to that. And then that becomes checkout drop off, right? So that if you want this to be a little bit easier and not put the linked insights there, like if they get to be too much, which is something that happens, it doesn't always happen, but if they do get to be too much, then you can delete this and here, put, gosh, I need to learn how to do this, backlog URL, and that would go to your research roadmap and backlog. I would hide this. I'd hide this. I'd hide this. And then we go here, team. Oh no, oops, I'm so used to doing that. We go here and we filter by problem space, checkout drop off. Hey, there we go. So now in here, we can see all of the linked insights to the checkout and drop off. So what that essentially means here is if you start to do this, you don't necessarily need these, but I do still find them a little bit interesting. I would probably hide this one. I would hide this because this is stupid to have here. So we'll hide it here. See, it just takes a second to like... There we go. Get this all worked out. But then we have all the insights for the drop off on the checkout page. You would put the PM here, and then any like related features that this. So like we could put in here like coupon code. And so for this as well, what you could do is you could hide this. Because the insight links are like within here, so it's not as important. Where is this hide? Yeah, okay, great. Open this, and those are hidden. Nice. And then we open this, and that's all great. Cool. So that's pretty much how I set all of this up and start relating all of these things back to each other. And I just make it a little bit easier for stakeholders to come in and actually like utilize this information in a way that makes sense to them. But of course, have your feedback constantly through either a Google form, have it through reaching out to you directly, and then we can kind of like make this a little bit nicer. So view all the insights from user research at once. View the insights for your particular team only. View the insights for a particular problem space. Another thing here is I usually put my research request. You can request, so it depends. You can say you can request research through this form if you have like a separate form, or a lot of things that you can, like a lot of software that you use for roadmaps and backlogs, you can request directly using that software. So you could also say that as well. But it just makes it a little bit easier. So this is pretty much what it is. I mean, I might be able to just like make this not private and share it if I could figure out how to do that. Oh yeah, I could probably just share this where you can like just view it, and I guess you could maybe duplicate it. I don't know. Sometimes I don't understand how Notion works. But anyways, I hope that was helpful. Just in terms of how I set these things up at organizations. This has been pretty popular for the orgs that I come in and advise. And it's a really nice MVP kind of way of testing out a research repository in a less intense version. At some point, you probably will have to go to a more, fully formed repository, but especially for startups, especially for those people who are just trying repositories out, I recommend trying this before going to a fully functioning repository, like a repository tool, because this can give you some really great information on how you should set up a repository once you get that tool, rather than like starting from scratch. But as I said, like, don't put all the insights in here. Just put a smattering of insights that matter to the teams that will be using this the most, and problem spaces related to those teams, and then test this out. And that means getting feedback. That means usability testing it with your stakeholders, talking to them about that, and just making sure that you are setting them up for success. So yeah, I hope that that's helpful. Let me know any questions that you have, and I will try and pop the link of this in here so that I can share it with you. So hopefully you can maybe make this into a template. But thank you so much, and yeah, I hope you have a fantastic day.